When a roller coaster is built, it needs a name, but it also needs a logo. Something that will grab the attention of the general park goer and draw them in. A logo that stands next to or over the entrance and just makes you want to jump in line. Some are rather plain and standard looking, while others are given a look to fit the themed area or a central theming of the coaster itself. Some are small, and some are incredibly massive. Whatever the logo is, you know you're in for an incredible experience the moment you see it. Let's take a look at some of them. Welcome to Ejector Airtime, and these are my top 20 favorite coaster logos. Before we get into it, make sure you take a moment and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any future content. Also, be sure and hit that like button as that will really help against the YouTube algorithm. Let's begin with a few honorable mentions, as well as some defunct logos. Cedar Point previously had two eye-catching logos in their lineup. Mean Streak was a large wooden coaster that operated from 1991 until 2016, and while it gradually declined in ridership over the years, there was no mistaking its logo, which featured a thundercloud and a lightning bolt. Equally iconic was the color scheme and the logo of Mantis. Before Rougarou, this massive stand-up coaster featured an eye-popping yellow, red, and blue paint job and an incredible logo that featured a praying mantis. Even the font used for this name was impressive. It just screamed 1990s, and had they kept this logo in colors, it would definitely land near the top of the list, but I'm sticking with coasters that are currently operating for this one. Vortex at Kings Island also had an awesome logo. In addition to the bold and edgy font they chose for the sign, the primary logo used in the ads for the coaster was consistent with the font. It was a triangle shape and featured a large cyborg hand gripping a section of the coaster track. Kind of reminds me of the album cover for Sign In Please by the band Autograph. You know, the band who sang Turn Up the Radio. Busch Gardens Williamsburg had two defunct coasters with fantastic logos as well, Big Bad Wolf and Drakenfire. In a park with so many impressive coasters over the years, both of these coasters had logos and signs that fit perfectly with the style of ride you were about to experience. The name Goliath tends to be one of the most overused names in the world of coasters, especially in the Six Flags chain, but one definitely stands out among all of them, literally, and that is the massive Goliath letters in front of Six Flags Magic Mountain's massive hypercoaster. When Alton Towers opened Nemesis in the 90s, it featured a simple logo with a very eye-catching text. It became just as iconic as the coaster itself. I don't know exactly when they updated this logo, but the new text isn't quite as impressive as the old version. Worlds of Fun's Prowler has a great sign as well, featuring the eyes of a panther and font that fits well with the Africa section of the park. It's a great logo, but I think it would have looked more impressive if they placed it on the bridge for you to walk under, as opposed to on the hill next to it. Finally, I love the logo of Jersey Devil at Six Flags Great Adventure, but being a hockey fan, I'm a little disappointed it wasn't stylized to be affiliated with the New Jersey Devils, kinda like how Steel Curtain is themed to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Number 20. Mystic Timbers at Kings Island. In addition to a fantastic logo, this coaster was also given a rather impressive backstory, and a creatively creepy one at that. It tells the story of a railroad and lumber company that came in to make it easier to ship out large amounts of timber, only to find a mysterious force was causing nature to reclaim this land as vines and roots grew to cover everything. We see evidence of this in the queue and just before the train enters the infamous shed at the end of the ride. The logo goes right along with this theme very well. I love the text that they chose for this, as well as the color choice with that gradient. It just looks amazing. The sinister looking tree and the roots underneath are also a great touch, keeping it consistent with the backstory as well. This was just an overall well done coaster by Cedar Fair, and the ride sounds like it's one of their best. Number 19. Viper at Six Flags Magic Mountain and Six Flags Great America. These coasters, as well as the short-lived Viper at Six Flags Great Adventure, all feature the same logo. A very simple name stylized to feature what appeared to be snake fangs, and like Kings Island's Vortex, it's placed in front of a triangle containing an image of a large snake. While snake names can often be overused in coasters, this simple name Viper is a pretty solid name for coasters with such twisted layouts, and it's still one of the most iconic signs in the Six Flags chain. Number 18. Wicker Man at Alton Towers. There aren't many parks outside of Disney and Universal that go above and beyond in theming their coasters, but Alton Towers might be the best at this. They not only theme their coasters, but they also give them truly elaborate backstories, some of which are incredibly creepy or disturbing, which cements this park as one of the best in the world. Wicker Man is no exception to this amount of effort. In addition to an impressive backstory, it also features a very simple but very impressive and well-fitting logo as well, a simple font that fits well with the name. Number 17. Gatekeeper at Cedar Point. When the park announced they would be redoing their front entrance, they decided to go one step further by having a massive new wing coaster pass over it, flying through 2 massive keyholes. But equally impressive is the entrance sign. I don't know who designs these things for the Cedar Fair chain, but they really know how to make them visually striking. It stands out even from a distance. The sharp gold text complements those blue dragons very well. Unfortunate that they couldn't manage to feature that red-eyed bird from the online version of the logo, but at least that's featured on the front of the coaster trains. Number 16. Alpengeist at Busch Gardens Williamsburg. This massive B&M invert can be found in the German section of the park. In fact, the name translated from German means Ghost of the Alps, and the theme involves a mysterious snow beast. While there isn't a lot of theming during the ride, apart from some sections of fake snow and skis attached to the coaster train, it's still a pretty creative idea, and the simplistic logo carries this as well. It's nothing more than the name of the coaster, but it's made out of ice. Some letters in the logo even look kind of like mountain peaks. I also kind of like the bright colors that accent it. It almost looks like a sunset. Number 15. Twisted Timbers at King's Dominion. Similar to Mystic Timbers at Kings Island, this coaster was given a backstory and a unique theme. As it tells the riders in the queue, a mysterious force destroyed an old apple orchard and froze it in time. And despite warnings about this force, a local businessman has decided to reopen it. In the queue, riders see evidence of this story, including flipped vehicles and twisted trees. And if we take a look at the logo, we can clearly see part of this, as the T's are made to look like a pair of twisted trees. We can also see a section of coaster track underneath the name. Number 14. Great Bear at Hershey Park. This B&M invert is one unique coaster. They weren't allowed to build supports for the coaster into the water, so they had to get inventive and build around it. This is likely why it features that helix turn before the first drop. The name for this coaster, as suggested by the logo, comes from the constellation Ursa Major, better known as the Big Dipper, which has 7 stars. This ties into the coaster very well, as it features 7 thrill elements. I remember seeing this in a PC game as a kid called 3D Ultra Thrill Ride Pinball, in which a pinball table is themed around the rides at Hershey Park. In a park with such a stacked lineup, Great Bear has one of the best logos in any amusement park. Number 13. Manta at SeaWorld Orlando. The SeaWorld parks are great at coming up with unique logos and entrance signs for their rides. Both Kraken and Mako also have great entrances, but I really like the Stingrays and how this one looks with the rock work and the waterfall behind it. The color choices are also really good on both the Manta image and on the font, and it was placed in the perfect spot as you can get a great shot of the coaster flying right behind it. Number 12. Steel Force at Dorney Park. This logo was not originally intended for use on this coaster. It wasn't even meant to be used with this name. When Cedar Point announced they would be adding a new B&M stand-up coaster in 1996, it was originally set to be called Banshee. When the definition for Banshee was published in a local newspaper, it received negative feedback as it was considered to be a bit too dark for a coaster. That coaster soon had its name changed to Mantis, but both the logo and the name weren't put to waste. Dorney Park was set to get a new Morgan hypercoaster the following year, and the original logo was recycled and went along with the name Steel Force. As for the name Banshee, that was revived in 2014. We'll take a look at that one later. While Steel Force isn't the best name for a coaster, I have long been fond of how cool this entrance sign looks. Number 11. Velocicoaster at Islands of Adventure. Not much needs to be said about this coaster. Everything about it is impressive. The theming, the trains, the launch, the layout, the immersive queue. It's all incredible. It's no wonder this coaster has so quickly landed itself among people's lists of favorite coasters. On top of all of this, look at that logo. The font is consistent with Jurassic World, and if you look closely, you can even see some claw marks. It may be such a simple logo, but it's still very well done. Number 10. Diamondback at Kings Island. This logo practically takes everything about the Viper logo and just amps it up. Instead of just putting the name and a snake image into a triangle, they almost made the head of the snake into that triangle shape. In addition to adding fangs to the text, they also made the text look kind of like a desert sunset, and the snake's tongue is a section of coaster track. Overall, just well put together. Number 9. Leviathan at Canada's Wonderland. When this park announced they would be getting the first Giga coaster designed by B&M, it got a lot of people very excited, and they really delivered with this one. For those unfamiliar, a Leviathan is a type of mythical sea serpent. It is a huge creature, and a perfect name for such a large coaster. The logo itself is impressive, but they really brought it to life with such a standout entrance sign. It's not just a flat image. That Leviathan is very well designed, and the text is equally fitting. Canada's Wonderland did a great job with this one. Number 8. Time Traveler at Silver Dollar City. This park is one of my all-time favorites, but most of their coasters are lacking in a really impressive entrance sign. That all changed in 2018 with their mock extreme spinner Time Traveler. Just like every other major coaster in this park, it has a full backstory in the queue, but that sign up front is what really grabs your attention. The text looks great, it kinda has a steampunk quality to it. In addition, the giant clock is fully functioning, and those spinning wheels on the sign are just so satisfying to watch. I could stand there and watch that thing for hours. Number 7. The Legend at Holiday World. As the name suggests, this CCI wooden coaster is themed to the legend of Sleepy Hollow. In the logo, we see the Headless Horseman riding off in the moonlight, with the coaster in the background. This image, along with the text, which looks similar to that of some publications of the book, just looks amazing. Very fitting altogether, being in the Halloween section of the park as well. Number 6. Fury 325 at Carowinds. Another entrance sign that is edgy and simple, but still looks incredible. The implementation of the Hornet's body into the letter R is a nice touch, and it looks great with that massive coaster right behind it. And being located in the same city as the Hornets basketball team, it's an especially fitting logo. Number 5. Millennium Force at Cedar Point. When the first Giga Coaster was built in 2000, it was a big deal, and everybody was scrambling to ride this thing when it opened. Keeping in line with such a big coaster, the entrance sign had to be big as well. I don't think it's possible to visit Cedar Point and not see at least one person stopping to pose for a picture in front of the massive Millennium Force sign. It's gained iconic status, just like the Las Vegas sign, only you don't have to stand in a long line to get your picture in front of this one. Number 4. Banshee at Kings Island. This park is just really good at getting your attention. Maybe this is one of the reasons why it is considered such an elite park. When I first saw the teaser for this coaster, I knew it was going to be something impressive. The teaser video showed the old Son of Beast being blown down by a loud shriek, followed by the new B&M coaster bursting out of the ground. And just like everyone who attended the announcement at the park, I got very excited when I saw this logo. Everything about it just looks incredible. The color scheme of the coaster matched it perfectly. They even did a great job recreating the logo for the entrance sign. Much like Gatekeeper and Leviathan, that entrance sign just pops out at you. Number 3. Rock and Roller Coaster at Disney's Hollywood Studios. I'm a musician and a music teacher. I especially love classic rock, and Aerosmith is one of the best bands of all time. You know they've made a cultural impact considering they were featured on a roller coaster that's at Disney World. But the entrance sign to this coaster is what does it for me. The Fender Strat is my favorite kind of guitar, and seeing that massive guitar out in front of the entrance is an impressive sight. Number 2. Smiler at Alton Towers. This coaster had what might be the most impressive marketing campaign that any ride has ever been given. On top of that, the backstory and theming by far is the creepiest of any coaster in the world. It is such a unique theme, and there is no other logo out there quite like it. I don't even know how to fully describe it. It's cool, creepy, creative, and impressive all at the same time. Alton Towers has some amazing people behind their crew. Number 1. The Beast at Kings Island. Yet again, Kings Island cements themselves as having some of the best coaster marketing in the world. When the world's longest wooden coaster was announced for 1979, it was given an impressive marketing push. The commercial was fantastic, and just like the coaster itself, the logo and the ride entrance sign would become the stuff of legend. In the back of the park, you would notice some large footprints leading you to the entrance of the ride. When you looked up, you would notice 2 large chained-up claws reaching out over a section of coaster track, and that text displaying the name fits perfectly. What a way to make a first impression. That's going to do it for this video. Let me know in the comments what your favorite coaster logos and entrance signs are. Also, thank you so much for helping me reach 200 subscribers. Thank you so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to see more in the future.